Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name's Chuck. I make videos for NBA, make videos for NFL. I should have a NFL video, guys, for you out tomorrow. I know a lot of you guys have been asking, because I skipped the last 2 weeks, but should have one out tomorrow. Good thing is all these games kind of lock very early, so hopefully I'll be able to get one done after all these games lock. But all these videos they get posted on this subreddit. It's called DF Sports with one S. I make updates with all the news that comes out. You can ask me questions about the slate, pretty much anything you need. I'll answer you, or you can message me on Reddit privately. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Twitter right here. So before we get into the slate, let's take a look back at my lineups from tonight. And I'm in incredible pain from the main slate. Just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah. Before we get into my lineups and why I played these guys, if you are interested in joining my Discord, I have a link to that down below as well, where I give you guys a core of 4 to play, private videos, whole bunch of stuff that'll be linked down below. Night slate stuff, showdown cores, whole bunch of stuff will be linked down below as well. So, break even day for me, because night slate did well. I bubbled with, as you can see, I'm like 5 points out of the cash with Anthony Black. Unbelievable stuff. Just with Jalen Suggs in, mid-20s minutes. With Jalen Suggs out, benched. 11 minutes for Anthony Black. Got that first turnover in the first and just never got a chance after that. But my core today was Jokic. He smashed. Who else will score for me? Terrence Mann. Was kind of surprised he came in this low. He was projecting to be like one of the highest owned plays on the slate. I guess like the Knicks news kind of changed that. He was a core play, and then Darius Garland was core, and what else was core? Might only had 3 today. I think I only had 3. And then I rounded out my lineup with Quickly. He smashed. No surprise there. Champagne. What else? Tobias Harris and Aaron Gordon. So bubbled with Anthony Black with his 0.5 fantasy points, and then night slate saved the day. I needed overtime so bad. How many points was I out of first? 10 points or so, and I just loaded up on this Houston game because all the Clippers were too cheap in my opinion, with Westbrook going to the bench. And I knew they'd all be low owned, and they were running really tight rotations. Like the main guys are just playing huge minutes right now. So that's the reason why I loaded up on the Clippers. As you can see, I played Kawhi Leonard in every single lineup, and I also had James Harden in some, so I just loaded up on them. I also loaded up on some of the Rockets, Fred VanVleet, and then Clarkson obviously was a great play. My core for the night slate was Eric Gordon, Terrence Mann, Norm Powell, and I don't know why they took a 3 away from Norman Powell. I could have swore he had 26 fantasy points or something. So it was Sengun, Norm Powell, Terrence Mann, and Eric Gordon. The core did good, but yeah, needed overtime pretty badly. Would have had a great night if Harden didn't hit that 3. So yeah, let's get into the breakdown for this slate coming up. So I'm going to go through this quickly because I just recorded this video and for some reason I had issues with it. So now I'm recording it again. So I'm going to try and go as quickly as I can through this breakdown. All right, good spot here up against the Pelicans. Pelicans have been playing a lot faster than what they did last year, so it's a pace-up spot. It's a good spot. I don't think people are realizing that yet. So Ant and Cat, I think, are both too cheap here at the top. I think both look pretty solid at their respective price points. Both going to lead the way offensively. Both are going to stuff the stat sheet. Both are going to play huge minutes. Game should stay close. So I like Ant. I like Cat. I like both a good amount here on this slate. I think both are just too cheap in my opinion. Rudy Gobert at 6'8", I mean, he's just fine, right? Probably not going to kill you. Probably not going to win you a tournament. Has upside to like 40. Sometimes we'll randomly get the spike game where he goes for like 10 blocks or like 20 rebounds. Either or, he does have that type of upside. I don't mind him. I think he's fine. I think he's priced right. No real strong takes there. Mike Conley, we don't have a ton of value on this slate, so I think Mike Conley is actually pretty reasonable for this slate. Probably going to get you like 25 fantasy points, which is solid, on a small slate with not a ton of value. So like Mike Conley here at 5.2K. Naz Reid, I mean, probably plays mid-teens minutes, but could play more if Rudy Gobert can't get into foul trouble. Also, really good point per minute. Not someone I'm going to go to on my one lineup most likely, but I'll mention him just for like 20 max, 150 maxers. I think you can definitely get some exposure there because he could break a slate if one of those guys get into massive foul trouble. I think Kyle Anderson's a solid value. Should get low 20s minutes. Guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I don't mind him. Like I said, I'm going to keep saying we don't have a ton of value right now in the slate. So I like Slow-Mo. McDaniels, range of outcomes pretty high with him. His minutes are kind of all over the place right now. But good defender, can get defensive stats, good rebounder as well. I don't mind him, but range of outcomes with his minutes are going to determine how he does fantasy-wise. So the floor is going to be much lower with him this year with his minutes as opposed to last year. But still in play for me. And then not going to get to anyone else over there. All right, Pelicans. So same thing, same exact thing I said about the Timberwolves. Now, the Pels, I think, are still about priced right. But Ingram, Zion, these two guys are going to run the show for their offenses. Minutes haven't been great. I know some blowouts have happened, but I would expect, mid 30s minutes for these guys. I think they're both fine. I think I prefer the price points on the Timberwolves. Like, I'd rather play Ant over Ingram. I'd rather play Ant over Zion. So kind of get the point there. But I think both are in play. I definitely prefer Zion to Ingram. Zion also did have the bigger game tonight, but yeah, I think both the top two guys here for the Pels are solid. Jonas Valanciunas has randomly played 33 minutes tonight. I mean, here's the thing with Jonas Valanciunas. He is well over a fantasy point per minute guy. If he goes for and plays 34 minutes again on a small slate like this, he is probably going to blow the slate out of the water. If I knew that Jonas Valanciunas was going to play 34 minutes again, I would 100% put him in my lineup for tomorrow. I just don't know if he will. So that's the thing. If Jonas is going to be like chalk tomorrow just because he randomly played 34 minutes, then I want nothing to do with it. If he's going to be low owned, then I kind of am inclined to take more of a shot on him. You would also think maybe going up against Gobert, he could play more as well. So I'm interested in Jonas. Herb Jones, 6K, I think is just overpriced. But the good thing with him, right, good defender, can get defensive stats, which are truly valuable. Going to play huge minutes as well. So very, very safe. I just don't love the price point. And then Dyson Daniels, stat sheet stuffer. Going to play decent minutes. I think he's very, very safe. I actually think I prefer him to Mike Conley. Similar price point. So I like Dyson quite a bit. Hawkins coming off the bench, 5'8". Meh. I mean, if you want to go with the narrative, which you should never, ever play for narratives of the good game, bad game, good, whatever. I don't love the price point. And then I'll mention Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall getting around 20 minutes off the bench. Najee Marshall is actually a pretty good point per minute guy, so I don't mind it for value. I think he's very, very interesting. So don't mind me some Najee. I used to play Najee last year a decent amount. I have a soft spot in my heart for him. Don't love anything else here for the Pels. On to Memphis. So Smart, Tillman, Kennard, all out. Derrick Rose is questionable. Derrick Rose news, I think, is important than a lot of people are going to want to admit, because if Derrick Rose is out, I mean, who's going to handle the ball outside of Gilliard? Who? I think it just secures Gilliard's minutes a ton. So, with all these guys out, we'll go over the main guys first. I like Bane, I like Jaren quite a bit. In a really, really good spot going up against the Spurs. I think both look really good on the slate. Now, I think Bane's going to be a lot more popular than Jaren just because Jaren's had really, really bad games back to back to back. But we know Jaren has a huge ceiling. So as long as he stays out of foul trouble, I do like Jaren. I like Bane. I think Bane's a little bit safer right now and also has a similar ceiling, probably a higher ceiling. Also going to play huge minutes as well. No Smart as well, so they're going to have to do even more. So I think Bane and Jaren both look good. Biyombo with no Tillman's going to be playing huge minutes. Like, he's probably going to play mid-30s minutes. Double-double upside. I still like him quite a bit, even at 5'9". It was funny when Tillman was first out. Absolutely no one wanted Biyombo, and then he's just been chalk every single slate. But yeah, I like Biyombo quite a bit. And then with if Derrick Rose is out, I think Gilliard's gonna have to play decent minutes. Not the best point per minute, but a guy can stuff the stat sheet. If Rose is out, I like Gilliard for value. Now if Rose is in, I think Gilliard's still fine, but would be a downgrade. And then Derrick Rose, I think, would be really interesting at 4K. And then I'd assume right now Zaire moves into the starting lineup. If he does, I think he's solid value. And then, you're going to get more run for Santi Aldama, David Roddy. I think, Roddy looks a little bit better point per dollar, but Santi is also a decent point per minute guy. So I think Roddy's an okay value. I think Santi's in play. And then if Rose is in, I think Rose is very interesting for tournaments. And if Rose is in, I probably wouldn't play Conchar. All right, Spurs. Don't know. Looks like Vassell and Trey Jones. We'll see. Jones have a streak will extend after Friday after being downgraded out. We'll see if they're in. So if everyone's in, then the Spurs definitely look pretty unappealing to me. Like Wemby, I still think would be fine for tournaments. Keldon, I think, would be priced right. Zach Collins doesn't really change much. I think he's fine regardless. I don't love the price point now, but he still does have a ceiling. Vassell, I think, would probably be my favorite if there's no limit, just because he has a decent ceiling, kind of similar ceiling to Keldon, just cheaper. I do like Sochan, regardless though. I think if both the guys out, if both Vassell and who else is questionable? Sorry, Jones are out, Sochan is just going to play huge minutes. I know we had an ass game; he's just been shooting horribly, but he's going to stuff the stat sheet. If he plays 37 minutes again with both of those guys out and he has a decent shooting game, he could break the slate. So I'm pretty high on Sochan if those guys are out. I still think he's solid if they're in. And then if they're both out again, then you can consider like Branham, Champagny. If Champagny starts, then I think he's a fair value. And then Branham played decent minutes off the bench tonight. I like him. And then if they're in, then obviously don't play Branham, don't play Champagny. And then if they're in, downgrade the main guys. If they're out, then I think Keldon becomes more in play. Still like Zach Collins, really like Sochan, and like I said, the value is fine. This game is just disgusting. Chicago plays like molasses. It's just disgusting. It's gonna be really quick here. I think Bam, Butler, they're both fine. This game is probably my least favorite game to target on this slate. I think they're both just fine. Maybe the Milwaukee game is, I don't know, but they're both just fine. With Harrow out, these two are going to dominate the usage. Both frustrating rosters, but pretty high floors right now with no Tyler Harrow. They're also going to play huge minutes. They're running a pretty tight rotation, so I don't mind them. Not my favorite spend ups, but they're both fine. Duncan, I have no issue if you want to play Duncan at this price point. I just don't. He's playing huge minutes right now. He's playing close to 40 minutes a game. Now, if he's going to be popular, that's the time I want to fade him because he does have this type of floor. It all depends on if he's hitting his shots or not. So, and if he is, which he has been doing, he does have this type of ceiling. Kind of like Max Strus tonight. So, don't mind Duncan. Going to be an ownership thing for me. The closing lineup past few games has been Josh Richardson and Jacquez. Now, I don't know if that keeps happening. We also have Caleb Martin back. Was on a limit. We'll see if his minutes go up. If he gets a minutes uptick, could hurt like guys like Jacquez, etc. I don't think it'll hurt Jacquez a ton. I still think Jacquez is locked in for like 25 plus minutes. So I think Jacquez stands out as one of the better value plays in the slate right now. I really like him for value. J-Rich kind of comes down to if he closes the game or not. If he doesn't close, his minutes are going to get nuked. But still a fine value. I think I prefer Jacquez. And then we'll see on Caleb Martin what his limit's going to be. And then Highsmith didn't close this game. Playable value, but really low usage. I think I just prefer Jacquez over him. And then Lowry strictly tournament only because he's gotten pretty much benched the last two games. So tough to go there. All right, Chicago, like I said, pretty unappealing. Vooch, Living, DeMar, they're all healthy. I always just prefer whoever is cheapest when they're all healthy, but they don't stand out to me at all at their respective price points. Now, they did start Caruso tonight. If they start him again, I think he's fine. Didn't really get a minutes uptick, but we know he's an okay point per minute guy. Good defender as well. Don't mind him. And then not going to play Patrick Williams or Craig on the slate. Kobe White, I think, is priced right. Chicago, definitely probably my least favorite team to target on the slate. Dallas. So It's just Luka for me at the top. I don't love the price point with Kyrie in, but still fine. He's always going to be one of the better spend ups on the slate. I think given price points, I think Giannis and SGA, I think I prefer to Luka. Straight up, I think Luka is the best. So if you have the money for Luka, go Luka. If you don't, I think I prefer the price points on Giannis and SGA a bit better. And we'll talk about Steph, who I really like if he plays. And then Kyrie, I think, is overpriced. Tim Hardaway Jr. is overpriced. The rotation's disgusting, lively, so up and down with his minutes. Hard to trust that. I think I'd rather play Bismack Biyombo at a similar price point. Derrick Jones Jr. continues to absolutely nuke for no reason. I still don't think he's this. I don't think he's good point per minute. I'm not going to believe it. Like, this is definitely in the range of outcomes for him. He's max price now. I will let people keep playing Derrick Jones Jr. I'm not going to do it. Grant Williams, no thank you. Josh Green, nope. There's just not much here, man. Just not much. All right, Bucks. So it looks like obviously Crowder is going to be out abductor and abdominal tear. He is going to continue to be out. We'll see on Marjon Beauchamp. Looks like he could be back, I guess. That could change some things with the value. All right, so Giannis, like I said, I think he's a good spend up. I think the price point's definitely interesting. Has had some up and down games this year, but we know he's obviously, be honest, he is double upside. He can get insane amounts of blocks and steals. Minutes are up from like when they were coaching with Bud last year. They kept it easy on his minutes. When games are staying close this year, he is playing more minutes. So I like Giannis here. Same thing I said about Kyrie applies to Dame. I just think he's overpriced with the co-star healthy. Bobby Portis is overpriced with Giannis back. Brook Lopez, I think, feels a bit like chasing, although it's a pretty good spot for him. Playable. Middleton's on a limit. It is a back-to-back. We'll see if he plays. And then Malik Beasley. So the range of outcomes with him is if he's hitting his shots. If he's hitting his shots, he will close a game. If he is not, he will get benched. He won't close, and his minutes get absolutely nuked. So could kill you. Could win you a tournament. I don't mind it. And then we'll see if Beauchamp's in. If he is out, I think Pat Connaughton is reasonable. Played 30 minutes tonight. Would feel better about that. And then if Marjon plays, you can consider Marjon, then downgrade to Pat Connaughton. But would both still be in play. And then Andre Jackson, how many minutes he finished with tonight? Yeah, barely played. So OKC. So SGA, yeah, well, like I said, one of the better spend ups on the slate, in my opinion, point per dollar. And then it's hard to get to anyone else for me. Like, the minutes are just all over the place. Chet barely playing, or barely played last game, but still does have a ceiling. Don't love the price point. Giddey just got benched in the fourth and then came in when the game started blowing out. I don't know what that was about. I think he's overpriced. I think the safest outside of SGA is going to be Jalen Williams at 6-1, who I actually do like. He's taken more of a leap this year, kind of overtaken Josh Giddey. I think we at least get low to mid 30s minutes regardless. If the game doesn't blow out, I think he is the safest outside of SGA. A solid rebounder, 6'1". I like the price point, so I think Jalen is solid. Lu Dort, I mean, another guy that's like, if he hits his shots, he'll get you there. If he doesn't, he'll probably kill you. And then Casey Wallace, so he is questionable. If he's out, I'll feel better about Isaiah Joe. Kind of a big outlier game for Isaiah Joe last game, but I think he's a reasonable value. And then Kendrick Williams will play teens minutes, solid point per minute, playable for like 20 max people, 150 max people. And then Mitchich has been getting decent run of late. I think he's a viable dart at the Flatman price as well. All right, Warriors. So please, Steph, I'm begging you, please play. So there's two lineups I think they could go with if Steph plays. So the first one will be Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and then one of the bigs, one of Sarge or Looney. Or they could go with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and then one of the bigs. So if Steph plays, I think he's one of my favorite tournament spend-ups on the slate. Going up against OKC on a small slate, Steph Curry always goes low owned. He has insane upside. I think he's absolutely just sick of watching this team play without him. Just watching his splash, bro. Just airball. It's disgusting. So if Steph plays, he's one of my favorite tournament plays on the slate. I really like Steph if he plays. I know he's up there in price, but low owned, 5-game slate. Sign me up for Steph. Chris Paul would be overpriced. Clay would be overpriced. The bigs would just be fine. Wiggins would be okay. Kuminga, if he starts, I really like for value. He would be one of the best value plays on the slate. Pods, no thank you. And then Moody would take a hit. Wouldn't like it. And then if Steph's out, we get to run it back. Then Chris Paul looks really, really good. Then Klay Thompson looks solid. The bigs will be fine. Andrew Wiggins, I would like quite a bit. Jonathan Kuminga would look like one of the best value plays in the slate. Pods, I think, would be fine. Moody, I think, would be a solid value. There would just be a lot to like here with the Warriors. So I hope this video helped you guys out, and I will talk to y'all in the next one.